What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show. We have a special guest. Today, we have Mr. Chris Williams of the HBCU Pigskin Showdown, an all-star game that'll take place in December. Mr. Williams, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How you doing?
Hey, I am doing awesome. So the HBCU Pigskin Showdown, just how did this come about? What is this game about? How did it kind of come about? And just kind of tell me your story behind that.
Well, I mean, just going back to the very beginning, my partner and I had spent, I was telling you before we got on about, 22 years coaching arena football and scouting in the Canadian Football League, and after we had gotten our last job, completed, before we, were let go from our last job in Green Bay, we just wanted to figure out a way to where we can continue to help kids. I mean, when you're coaching at those, those what we would call mid-major levels, minor league levels, it's always been about, trying to help these kids advance, trying to develop the kids, trying to help them get good enough so they can reach the goals of playing at the highest level of football. So it's just what we always did. And we feel like we did that as good as anybody, especially when it comes to, our arena league days and just really, having guys that would go and end up starting in the NFL. So we just loved doing that. We had a big passion for that. And as we were coming out, we just said, hey, man, we got to, we can still do what we love to do and, do it under our own hats and do it the way we want to do it. And we said, hey, man, these HBCU kids are, in our opinion, getting neglected, and let's try to shine a light on them. So I guess we must have been, I don't know, the end of 2020, because we actually started our LLC in August of 2019. So we were almost at the beginning of 2020 coming up with the idea, and we just said, hey, man, let's take slow steps. Let's get it together. Let's try to do it the right way. And so finally we got to, the year of 2021, and we were ready to play the game. And, we kind of, we early starting process, we did a lot of things out of our own pocket, just kind of scraping and clawing to make it happen. And so, once we were able to play that first game, last year we had 70 guys show up. We had 16 of the NFL teams show up, plus all the XFL, some of the USFL people. So it just started growing. I mean, and the fact that we're in that Selma, Alabama area, and we're both Alabama natives. So we wanted to do something for our home state. Also want to do something to help these HBCU kids. And we just said, let's put these two initiatives together. And after we played that first game, man, it just started taking off. I mean, NBC Sports gets involved. I mean, we started getting statewide sponsorships. I mean, it just started to snowball. And so here we are this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Mr. Williams, you talked about playing the game in Selma, Alabama, and you kind of dove into it a little bit, but I want to expand more upon the significance of playing an HBCU football game in the city of Selma or in the Selma area. Just how important is that? I know that it has to be something that greatly went into your mind when you were deciding to put this together.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, because we're from there, we know, how that area has been hit. I mean, to be honest, Selma has become the poorest city in the state of Alabama, right?
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle here over the last, say 15, 20 years. And so we just, we've always felt like, every black man and woman, owes a little bit of a debt to what happened on that bridge back in the 1960s, man. So we just wanted to first want to shed a light back on the area. We want to do something good for these players, man. But we eventually want this thing to be where people are, seeing it as a place to do conventions during the event, hoping that we can eventually draw out the admin folks from HBCUs, the coaches to come down and do coaching clinics from HBCUs. And we just feel like, even some of the players, don't necessarily understand the history of Selma and what really happened. And so we want to teach them a little bit too, man. And we'll do like a ceremony of bridge crossing with the players on Friday before the game. And, we just want to shed a light on Selma and do well for these players. And we feel like it's a good match for each other.
Absolutely. Once again, this is Mr. Chris Williams of the HBCU Pigskin Showdown. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe. Now, Mr. Williams, take me to the event. What takes place? What's it like? How long is it? What do the players? What are some of you mentioned the walking of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which is pretty
Mhm.
awesome. But what are some of the other things that they will experience during this time as a part of the HBCU Pigskin Showdown?
Well, the first thing, it's a week-long event, so the guys will
Okay.
report. They'll report on Monday, December the 12th. They'll be there in town with us, until the game, until the day after the ball game. We'll send everybody home on Sunday the 18th. But throughout the week, it's mainly we want to make sure we don't veer off of why we're here, right? We're here to
Mm-hmm.
help these players and shine a light on Selma, but we want to make sure that we give them a really good football experience. Make sure the scouts are happy. Make sure that we show that we can be organized and we do things the right way at a high level, so the NFL people will stay in our corner with this thing. And but throughout the week we want to do some other things off the field. And we established what's called the Alabama HBCU Hall of Fame. This will be our first year doing this.
Mm,
And so what we're going to do, we want to honor HBCU grads that are from the state of Alabama, or HBCU grads that went to Alabama HBCUs. And we just want to make
okay.
sure Alabama, kind of understands that this is about them. So we're going to do that event. We're gonna have 7 inductees, including the president of Alabama State University, Dr. Ross. And so we got a pretty good lineup of people. Mayor Perkins from the city of Selma is going to be inducted as well, Alabama A&M graduate. So we're just trying to make sure there'll be a welcome dinner throughout the week. There'll be just different dinners and different sorts of things. But the main thing being that Hall of Fame dinner, and then that walk over the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Mr. Williams, I have to ask you because the game takes place on Saturday, December 17th. And I
Mhm.
also know that that is the same day as the Celebration Bowl. Is that something that you guys ever thought about as far as moving the date, or did you take that into consideration when you were planning this year's event?
Yeah, I mean, we took it into consideration, and we'll probably always be on the same day as the Celebration Bowl. But our goal is to where the Celebration Bowl can play its game, and then we'll play our game later on in the afternoon or at night. But where we are right now with the stadiums, and we're this is a small area. This is
Hmm.
so we're playing in a basically what would be a high school stadium. And so the lighting system is not up to par yet, and we haven't gotten to the point where we can financially fix that yet. So we just had to kind
Hmm.
of take the bullet this year, and or bite the bullet this year and just go with it. But next year, hopefully as we gain more sponsors and are more financially on our feet, then we can take part in making sure that the lighting system is where it needs to be. So we want to be loyal to the community first and make sure the
Hmm.
community gets a good game and a good event that they can come out and enjoy, and they can we can have butts in the seats from all our local people. But we do understand that we're on the same day, and next year we tried to stagger it as much as we could this year. I think there's like an hour difference, an hour and a half, something like that. But as we're moving forward, we'll be in a totally different time slot than they will be.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now you talked about the exposure for the players, right? As far
Mhm.
as NFL, XFL, whatever. There's a bunch of different leagues now that you can go on and play football past college. Just how important is that, and how effective is your bowl game? Now, granted, you don't have a long history, right? Like
Mhm.
it's still in its infancy. But
Mhm.
how important has your game been so far, and how important do you see it being as far as helping HBCU players get to the next level, wherever that next level may be?
I mean, look, brother. I mean, we talk about this all the time, man. And the first place I always start with this conversation is like the fact that there is a legacy bowl, and then that there are us. I think this is really a great time. We always tell these kids, you need to play in both games. I mean, there's guys in the NFL that have played in the Senior Bowl and then blue gray game, and those
Hmm.
guys take advantage of being able to be seen. So when we first got started, I think a lot of people, not everybody, but there was some section of people that looked at it as if we were in competition or wanted to be in competition with the Legacy Bowl. But I always tell folks, man, we got to stop thinking that way as Black people. We don't always we don't always just have to have one thing. We should have the same
Yeah.
opportunities as anybody else. So our goal is to just make sure we're part of the landscape of trying to help these kids move on, and at the end of the day, we want to make sure that these boys are getting as much exposure as they possibly can. Last year we had two guys that got into NFL training camp through the mini camp system. We had four guys that actually signed contracts into the USFL, and we just say, man, it's about getting a job in pro football, man. I mean, a legitimately paying job in pro football is
Mm-hmm.
really the goal, and we got to start there because realistically, where we are with HBCU football right now, I mean, there were four guys drafted. There's a bunch of kids that went to NFL mini camps, but we all know what mini camps are. It's basically a 2-day tryout. So at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
when you go back and you look and you say, we still got a lot of work to do with getting these kids these jobs that we think they deserve. So our goal is just to play our part, man, and just continue to communicate with the NFL and all the other leagues, and really give them a good show. Give them a show of some kids that they might not necessarily realize deserve a shot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I've seen some big time players announce that they'll be playing in your game. Joshua Reed of Grambling, Alfonso Graham of Morgan State. Just what is the player selection process like for you all? How do you guys kind of go about getting the players to play in the game?
I mean, we recruited pretty hard, man. We put
Hmm.
together a personnel staff. Between myself and my partner, we're equal partners in this thing. Bryant Grove is a former coach as well, but we hired a player personnel director, an assistant player personnel director, and we all get at it, man. We're evaluating film. We start with who's really on at least a little bit on the NFL radar, not necessarily kids that have a draft grade just yet, because there's not
Hmm.
that many in HBCU that have a draft grade. But if you're on the NFL radar, we start there, and then we go to evaluating the film from there, and then we just kind of we decide how many of each position we want to get, and then we recruit them as if we're trying to get them to come play on our team. And this year, because we grew a little bit, I'll go back and tell you, last year, players had to bring themselves in. I mean, we were, like I said, just kind of scraping and clawing and making it work, and
Hmm.
so players had to travel themselves in last year. Well, now we've got a TV deal. We're starting to make some ground, so we're able to bring the kids in this year and fly
Mm.
guys in and that sort of thing. And that the NBC connection, the ability for us to bring kids to us, our visibility has gone up. So that's helped us in the recruiting process. So that's why you can see that the roster's definitely gotten better.
Absolutely. Now, how many players do you plan on having this year? Do you know the amount of teams, whether it's NFL, XFL, USF? Like, do you guys have numbers on that? What are all those things kind of looking like?
Well, I mean, the number of players is 84. We cap off at
Okay.
84, so we go 42 guys per team. And
Okay.
right now, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, the NFL just today, man, we just made a whole bunch of tweets today about we ended up with just today 10 of the teams that are confirmed that they're coming. So this is our first batch of teams that have confirmed. And so I would guess we're probably going to land somewhere in there between 22, 25 of the NFL teams at the
Wow.
end of the day, and even a couple of the Canadian Football League teams. And we would expect the XFL to do exactly what they did last year and come in, and then also still hoping to get some guys out of USFL. So I mean, we're at it every day, man. Just talking to folks, and really, like I said, what's helping sell it this year is the quality of those players that are coming in, and
Hmm.
these teams just don't want to miss at least taking a look and getting an evaluation on these boys. So it's been pretty good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, where do you see this going? Like, how far do you think you, your partners, the players, the growing aspect of HBCU sports and HBCU football specifically, where do you see your game kind of going moving forward, maybe 2, 3, 5 years from now?
I feel like we're gonna be here to stay, man. I think as this whole movement grows and people realize what that just call a spade, what that neglect was towards HBCU when it comes to evaluation for the next level. It was just a void there, right? So I think now what's going to happen is you're going to have HBCU kids that have options. I mean, they can. And let me say this: the schools are doing a wonderful job now of marketing kids. I mean, over the last 3 years, things have changed with sports information departments, making sure that kids' names get out there. So that's changed, and that's a good thing. So now the scouts are starting to go onto the college campus, but just the same way as if you played at Alabama, just because you played at Alabama, the scouts have evaluated you, but you still got to go to the Senior Bowl and
Yeah.
worth, right? So I think for now, our HBCU kids are now going to have those options, and now they can kind of have that peace of mind. Hey, Scout came and saw me play. Scout came down and watched my film, but I can go put a stamp on this, just like everybody else in the draft process. I can go put a stamp on myself, and so I think between us and the Legacy Bowl, man, I think, and to be honest with you, I even think there's probably room for one more. You know what I mean? So I think,
Mm.
I think we just got to make sure that our kids are saturating the market just like anybody else. And like I said
Yeah.
before, if you play at Alabama, you can go to Senior Bowl, you can go to NFLPA, you can go to East West Shrine, you can go to Hula Bowl, you can do a lot of things. And we just want these kids to be able to get into this process. That off-season process to get drafted is a tough process, and this is a big part of that, being able to interview with scouts and things and be able to be seen at practice. So I think we're here to stay, man.
Now you're right, and you brought up something very interesting. You said the offseason process, going into the next level, if you plan on playing at the next level, is tough. But I would say your game is fairly soon after the end of the season. Do you
Mm-hmm.
say that kind of gives the players, the student athletes, an advantage by having a game that's immediately after the season, or of a disadvantage? Like what are your thoughts on that?
I think is one of those deals where when you're where we are right now. Now, who knows what we're gonna have to do and what changes we're gonna have to make 5 years from now once this becomes a normal thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's a really good thing for people to be able to be in football shape. Having come off the field, unless they got injuries right now, you come play with us. You just played 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's not a whole
Yeah.
lot of getting in the shape that you would have to do. So you can just come in and start impressing people with that same form you were in that season
Mm.
that you just played. Now the other great thing for us too is, and for these kids, not necessarily for us, but the other great thing is, you get a chance to play in our game in December. Let's just say you're not on the radar as highly as you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
but you come play with us in December, and the scouts start to say, wait a minute, we need to get some second looks. Well, guess what? There's a second look in February. Then you can go play in the Legacy Bowl and then kind of put that stamp on what it is you're doing. So all of us may have to make some changes once this becomes a norm and the NFL starts to get used to, hey, we're evaluating these HBCU kids. We all may have to change some dates and move some things around. But right now, this is the best setup for these kids to get the evaluation they need.
Absolutely, absolutely. Who are some of the coaches that'll be out there helping evaluate and helping lead these young men when they go hit the field on Saturday, December 17th?
Yeah, well, right now, I mean, I shouldn't say but we kind of just went back to our coaching pool. I mean, our guys that we've coached along the way with. So
Okay.
there's some arena guys, there's some college guys, I know Jarrell Jackson's coming down, head coach at Texas College is going to come down. And there's a few other college guys from the SWAC that are assistant coaches that are going to come. So we're just kind of putting an all-star group together of guys that we know, and as we keep moving, we can keep adding people. But these are good quality football men that have been around the game, and these kids are going to enjoy that too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Once again, this is Chris Williams of HBCU Pigskin Showdown. It takes place Saturday, December 17th, down in the Selma, Alabama area. Now, Mr. Williams, I get you out on this. I just want to honestly, I want to thank you and your partners for putting together something like this, because like you said, I love the fact that the players at these different institutions that may or may not be properly evaluated, if they didn't have an event like this, or didn't have an event like the Legacy Bowl or the HBCU Combine. Just in your perspective, and I'll get you out on this, just how big do you think HBCU football specifically can get as far as a national brand? Like, how big do you think? Because I see it every day with whether it's Deion Sanders at Jackson State, Hugh Jackson at Grambling, Coach Willie Simmons at FAMU doing great things, Eddie George at Tennessee State. Like, where do you see the HBCU football brand altogether going in the next few years?
I think that's a great question. I honestly believe that the sky's the limit. We can go wherever we want to go with this thing because I'm gonna tell you right now, man. When we called a major corporation to get a conversation to talk about sponsorship, there was nobody that said no. Everybody listened, right? Now
Mm.
we didn't always get the get the deal, but nobody said no to the conversation. Let us hear more about what you're doing. So I think we're in a place now in our country too where diversity inclusion. Almost every major corporation has a diversity inclusion department now. I mean, so the ears are open, and so it's up to us now to make sure that we force the next step to happen. Let's just say, and I sure as heck hope it doesn't happen. Let's just say Deion Sanders takes a Power Five job, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, that cannot stop the momentum that he helped us build, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at this,
Absolutely.
we all have to start banding together. There can't be any conflicts amongst the goal that we're trying to reach. And if we all stay together, use this push that we've been given, use this push and keep it going and don't let it drop off. I think you're gonna start seeing more Travis Hunters, start to move over to some of these HBCU schools. I mean, so the sky's the limit. We are set up for success right now. Question is what we're gonna do with it, and do we want to last?
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Williams, I completely agree with you 100%. I think, like you said, Coach Prime did something special. He started a movement. He helped start a movement, or maybe that was already going. He added fuel to the fire, whatever you want to say. But it's something that can't outlast him if we wanted to. Mr. Williams, I appreciate it taking the time out of your day with speaking with me. Once again, this is Chris Williams of the HBCU Pigskin Showdown. You can check out the HBCU Pigskin Showdown on Saturday, December 17th. Kickoff is at noon. And I want to show the website, if you don't mind. I want to show the HBCU Pigskin Showdown website. This is the official website to the HBCU Pigskin Showdown. It'll take place Saturday, December 17th at Marion Military Institute. In the Selma, Alabama area. It will feature some of the best players in all of HBCU football. Mr. Williams, once again, I appreciate it taking time out of your day, and good luck with you and your partners at the game. And I'm so glad it's happening, and appreciate it you talking to me.
Jeff, I just got to say, man, thank you for reaching out and giving us an opportunity to be on your platform. And hopefully, this won't be the last time we get to talk.
Not at all. Not at all. We will do a follow-up, and we continue to follow the game for years and years to come. Mr. Williams, thank you for talking to me. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and we will